Okay, let's go. Bots and Books fans, this is Scorp1701 and happy Halloween! Yes, tonight is Halloween, the night of ghosts and goblins and candy. And I thought, what better night to put out an awesome Ghostbuster review except on All Hallows Eve. Yes, could have probably waited a year and did Sam Hain tonight, but I didn't want to do that. I wanted to go onward to newer things such as the Mondo, the Real Ghostbusters collector set featuring Egon Spengler and the Boogie Man. And I can't wait to dive into these awesome figures. You may have saw my unboxing a few days ago, and that was so much fun, but I think actually taking an in-depth look at these figures is going to be a lot more fun. Now, I don't think we're going to be able to answer the questions of how do you actually spell the Boogie Man's name, because if you remember the 2 episodes that he appeared in, his name on the card was spelled differently. And I don't think we're going to figure out if he was actually a class 7 or a -9. I don't know. He was classified as both in this series, but either way, we're going to take a look at his awesome figure, and we are going to figure out how cool it is. Now, I did do a quick run-through of the packaging in my unboxing video, but to be thorough, I'll go through it again as we take a look at the awesomeness, which is this Mondo packaging. Now, the packaging is done to look like the firehouse building itself. On the front, you have the Ghostbuster sign, you have the 2 doors, and then you have a nice Mondo symbol on the bottom right or left, depending on your perspective. On the top of the box, you have a nice roof set up. They have the air conditioning unit there and what it would look like if the Ghostbusters were on the roof. Coming to the bottom of the box, you have some more credits for the box and a barcode. Now, I will scroll in on this barcode, but I don't think it's going to help you find it in the shelf because these figures were not meant to sell in general retail unless you're talking about a specialty shop like a comic book store or a toy store or something like that. And when you find them there, they're going to be a little more expensive than when you could have gotten them online. But anyway, here's the barcode. If you are looking on the right side of the box and the left side of the box, you have the nice side of the building and the Real Ghostbusters logo. Coming down, you have Egon Spengler and Boogie Man exclusive figure set, Mondo 112, 1/12th scale collectible figures, and that is really neat. Coming to the back of the packaging, you just have the back of the building. You have the Real Ghostbusters logo there. You have a little skull and crossbone guy. You have the door. You have Slimer and graffiti on the wall. You have a little bug-eyed trash can ghost, and that is creepy and fun. And then you have some neat credits for the box. This yellow section over here tells everybody who was responsible for these figures, and thank you very much, Alex Brewer, for bringing these action figures our way, and I am so thankful that you took your time to create them and do them. You have a nice little indication that it includes 2 figures and accessories in different languages, and you have collector's model. This is not a toy, but I think it is, or we're going to treat it like a toy. Anyway, coming back to the front of the box, this is a very cool box, and the front does open up. You can pull these 2 sides that make up the firehouse doors open, and then you can see in there that there is a beautiful backdrop of inside the firehouse, and that is so cool. And here is a closer view of what's inside. Sorry about the glare, but it is really nice, and you can fit the figures in front of that, and it's a great backdrop. But that's enough about the packaging. I don't want to talk about the packaging. I want to see the figures, and I don't want to see the figures in the box because you can't really see them in the box. So without further ado, let's get these figures out and see how awesome they are. And here, Bots and Books fans, we have these awesome figures out of the packaging, and they look fabulous. I love the way these things look, and they are so huge. There is more stuff that I could not fit in the frame here. There's like a figure stand and Boogie Man's alternate head, but we'll take a look at all of the accessories in just a moment. But first, because we have two great figures, I have to figure out which one that we're going to take a look at first. And of course, I think we will have to start off with Dr. Egon Spengler.
Run! I'll hold him off. It ends here and now, Boogie Man. No more scaring little boys and girls. Not ever.
So, taking a closer look at Egon, he stands approximately 7 inches tall, and he looks amazing coming up close to his beautiful head sculpt. Now, this is an awesome, the Real Ghostbusters cartoon Egon head sculpt. I love this thing. Now, looking at it from the front, it does seem a little odd, but you have to really look at it from the side to get that awesome Egon look, because his hair is molded into the awesome little swirl. And although it was a very strange hairstyle, it was very unique at the time. And you can see it is done in a nice light yellowish or cream colored almost. And it's got a lot of nice detail in there. I love the sculpt of the hair. You got little tufts right here. And coming down, you have his rat tail sticking out here. That is really neat. I love the attention to detail that they gave this figure. Coming around to his face, you do got some nice eyebrows painted in there. Nice stern eyes. He got his glasses, and they are just hanging off of his nose. There are no lenses. I don't know if I would have liked to have like lenses in there, which would be like a clear plastic or maybe a white plastic, but this works. And the glasses are sitting on a nice molded nose, coming down to a serious pursed lips going there, nice chin mold there. He's got a very long neck, and that is going to come down to his outfit. So let's zoom out a little bit so we can take a look at his jumpsuit, and he is wearing his traditional kind of bluish teal colored jumpsuit with pink trim. As you can see in the collar, it's nice and pink, goes all the way around. And then when you come down to the upper part of his jumpsuit, you got some pockets molded in here, a nice zipper going down the center. You do have the awesome Ghostbuster symbol right here on his right shoulder, coming down to some nice elbow pads, and they are two-tone color. You got dark gray for the pad itself, and then a lighter, almost white for the front strap, and that is on both sides. I like that. Coming down even further to his belt section, he does have a single belt, and it is done in a kind of a gray coloring with some nice white here for, I guess, what would be the buckle or kind of half the buckles. Then you got your key holder or your Trono holder, or maybe we could put the PKE meter there because it does appear to have a clip on it too, but we'll see about that later. And then you have his little doodad here that he has on his belt. Peter had the same one. Coming around to the back of the belt, there is no other detail other than the little holes that go all the way around, and that is neat. Then that will bring us down at the bottom of the pants leg. You have a nice pink cuff, and that flows down into some nice black boots with gray laces. I like that. Coming to the bottom of the boot, you do have some copyright material and a peg hole, if that's of any interest to you. And then finally, just around to the back of the figure, moving up, there is nothing that you wouldn't expect or jumps out that we haven't already discussed. And that is an awesome looking Egon Spengler figure, and I am so glad that we have finally gotten something that resembles the cartoon that we've been wanting, and that is what your Egon is gonna look like. Moving on. And for articulation, now I would highly recommend hitting this guy with some heat, like from a hairdryer, for about 30 seconds before you start twisting and turning him. These are some very tight joints, and you don't want to take any chances of them snapping on you, especially with such a high-end figure. $100 is not something that you want to be breaking right out of the box. Anyway, Starting with the head can go around 360 degrees. You do get a little bit of tilt down and back, left and right, so that is neat. His glasses do move up and down a little bit. Now, I haven't been brave enough to try to take them off, and I'm not going to, so I'm just going to say that they're stationary and they don't come off. But they do appear to be kind of pegged in there, so you might be able to take them off. Anyway, coming to the shoulder can come up from the body and then back down. It can go around 360 degrees and then come forward on a very slight butterfly joint, so that is good, forward and backward. There is no bicep rotation, but you do have a pretty nice elbow bend, 90 degrees. I like that. And you do have the elbow pads, which are right over the elbow, and they are a single piece, and they can go around 360 degrees, but there's really no reason to move those around. Forearm rotation is there, 360 degrees, and that will bring you down to a nice ball-jointed hand, which can go around 360 degrees, and the ball joint is hinged, so wherever you have it hinged, you can rock it up or down or turn it to the side, and then you could rock it in and out, so that is really neat there. Coming to the center of the body, you do have 360 degree waist articulation, and you do get a little wiggly waggly for the upper body here, so that is cool. Coming to the legs, and the legs are going to be kind of disappointing. They don't really move. You might get a quarter of an inch forward. You don't get anything back because the butt usually gets in the way, and then you might get a little more to the side. So yeah, the Mondo figures are not good about having leg articulation. There is no thigh rotation to speak of. You do have a nice knee bend, almost 90 degrees, but not exactly, and that is built into a lower leg rotation, 360 degrees there. Coming down, you do have a boot cut, which will take you 360 degrees around, and that will bring you down to the foot, which is hinged, and it can go forward or up, and then it can go back down, and then it can rock to the inside and rock to the outside. I do like the Mondo foot design because basically you have the foot and the heel as one piece, and then the ankle and everything else connects to it in the middle. So I haven't really seen that before on any other figures than Mondo. So yeah, that is going to be Egon's articulation. Little short in the legs, but the upper body is just fine. Moving on. And for accessories, Egon comes with an alternate head in which he is terrified. This is really, really cool. I love this alternate head. I like the fact that they give him a terrified head when he is facing the Boogie Man, because in the show, the Boogie Man used to haunt him when he was younger, and that was the inspiration for Egon to go and research the paranormal, and that is really cool. And it's basically the same head design. You got the hair and the swirl and the rat tail, but really this face is what sells it with his look of horror, and it is very, very expressive. And for Egon's next accessories, he comes with a pair of black gloves. Now, this is the same type of gloves we got with Peter. I think they're all coming with black gloves, because in the series at the beginning, they did all at one point wear the black gloves to hold the Neutrona wands. But as it stands, these are really nice, and they are 2 pieces each. And what you'll do with them is kind of pop them apart, and you will put this black cuff onto the figure forearm, and then you'll plug the hand into the bottom of the cuff, and that will get into the figure, and there you go. You'll have him wearing gloves, and it looks really nice. And I really don't care for the gloves that much because, you know, I'm more of a standard hand kind of guy, and they didn't really wear them all the time, and I think they just quit after a couple episodes. But I've always been impressed, however, by the peg on this hand. That is nice, and a very thick peg. I think that gives the connection a bit more stability and makes it stronger. So yeah, Most of the pegs I've seen on my action figures have been really skinny, and they would stick in there, and there would be a chance that sometimes they would break. But that's a big, thick peg. That's not going anywhere. And that is going to be Egon's gloves. And for Egon's next accessory, he comes with his very nicely done PKE meter. Wow, this thing is very, very detailed. I love the way that this thing looks. You got a lot of cool colors in here. You got a base like this blue box thing, and then you got some red dials here on the side. You got a little light blue knob and some green and reds and oranges and some more reds and blues. You have a nice screen that has some diagrams on it, like 4 quadrants that will tell you where the ghost pops up. Coming around to the back, you got a little bit of panel work here. That is awesome. The handle is done black until you get to the bottom, and then you got this little blue hook section, and yes, that will hook onto the key ring on his belt, and that looks really cool there. And then the really cool part of this PKE meter is you can lift up the top here, and that will bring out the needles, and that is really neat. Now, unfortunately, they are stuck really tight into this center piece, so you'll have to find some sort of tool to kind of move them out from the side, and you need to be very careful when you do it because they are very, very thin. I'm kind of concerned about this if you move around too much, but how it is, these needles are kind of on this little hinge, and they are designed to actually go up and down to like the midpoint, and then you can even get them all the way up if you're so inclined. But again, like I said, they are very thin feeling, so I would be very, very cautious and very careful when you're messing with this, because it does feel like it is one of those breakable things. But anyway, it looks awesome, especially when you have these needles out and you can look around for ghosts, and that is so cool. I do love this little thing. In fact, I love it so much that I was hoping that HasLab would create a life-size version, put it out with a Real Ghostbusters proton pack and ghost trap as well, so I could have all 3 of those, like the ones they put out with the movie, but only with the cartoon versions. And I would definitely buy those, even though I have the movie versions. Anyway, that is going to be this awesome PKE meter. And Egon also comes with his Ghost Bomb, and this is the accessory that they used in the episode The Boogie Man Cometh, and they used this bomb to lock Boogie Man into his domain, and this is really neat. It's nicely designed. You do got a lot of cool colors on here. You got some nice little stripy parts down here. You got some green and some red buttons and some yellow, and you have a no ghost type kind of thing right here at the top, another little red button, and it's just really neatly designed, and I'm glad that they gave us this. It's very episode specific, and what's really cool about this Ghost Bomb is you can activate it. Now, how they activated it in the episode is they would pull out the little no ghost thing, twist it, and then push it back down, and then it would start blinking. Fortunately, you can't really get a good grip on it, so what you'll have to do is kind of push it down, and then that will pull up, and then you can actually grab it and then twist it around. It is kind of loose, but anyway, this is really cool, and they could hold this and try to blow up ghosts with this, or try to blow up the Boogeyman's realm and lock him in there, which is what they did in the episode. And this is really cool. And like Peter, Egon comes with a ghost trap, and this is really cool. I do like the way it looks. I just don't particularly care for the way it was designed. The trap itself is really nice. You got the handle here and a lot of cool design on the side with the buttons and the silver and the reds and the greens and the yellows and the oranges. On the top, you got the cautionary colors and the little yellow light here. And then on the other side, you have some more detail for the trap. And then the bottom, you got a little hole here, which will allow it to put on the side of the proton pack. And then you have the part of the design I don't like. It's this bendy wire, and it will go all the way down to the foot peg. And the foot peg is really nicely done. It's sculpted and molded well. You got the red and the green button there, and you got the little pedal you step on, so that is really nice. But the bendy wire is ultimately going to break on you. If you put too much stress on the base here, you're going to get some marks, and this is going to be where it's going to snap. I think it's a bad design. It looks good, but I think the same thing could have been done with a little piece of string or something that wasn't going to break. But anyway, that's just my opinion. If you take care of it and use care, you might be able to keep it for a long while. Now, the cool thing about this trap is this little part down here is detachable, and it does come out, and that is really cool. And you can see it's got its own little design. You got a couple holes here on the end, and then you have the little details here, like a little gauge. That is really neat. I love the amount of detail they put in their accessories. It is very cool. And the trap itself has an accessory. It comes with Louie. And you may remember Louie, or you may not remember Louie. But at the very beginning of the episode, The Boogie Man Cometh, the Ghostbusters are chasing down this little ghost who's stolen his truck. And he is like a mobster ghost. And the Ghostbusters really make short work of him. But it's really interesting that they put him in here instead of the Boogie Man. I don't know why they decided not to do that. But it gives us another unique type character. And he looks so cute with his little arms and his yellow eyes. It's like, yeah, and now get me, coppers, now, And you had that little gangster voice that everybody stereotypes and makes fun of. But anyway, you got some neat little energy effects coming up to suck him into the trap, and the trap is open, and it will just slide into here, and you can pretend that he is getting sucked into it. So that is really, really cool. And that is going to be your ghost trap. And for your final accessory, Egon, of course, comes with his proton pack. And I love the way that Mondo has designed these proton packs. And they are really cool and really easy to put on the figure. So on the front here, you have your shoulder straps here, and they're gray, and you come up down to the bottom, you get a bit of white there, and then a secondary belt here, coming to the buckle section, which is white and red. And this section will come out from the bottom of the pack and raise up, and this is how you'll be able to slide it onto your Ghostbuster. And we'll go ahead and bring Egon out so you can see how this works. It's very simple, very easy. So just basically kind of fold the arms out and then just slide this over his head. And what's cool about this is the pack itself has magnets built into it, and the back of Egon is metal, so it will just snap into place. That is really a cool feature of this thing. So anyway, once you get that on him, you'll just line up these little straps into the holes that they came out of, and they will just port into place. And that's a really nice fit for the proton pack. I like it. Anyway, taking a look at the pack itself, it has got a lot of cool design in it. You got your different colors and knobs with a little bit of orange over here to the side. Here's your peg for where you want to put your ghost trap. Coming around, you got some oranges, you got some reds and some yellows, and a lot of cool hoses and details. You got the bar here, and then you got the collider that's done in black. Now, you could paint those red if you're so inclined, because that was also a coloring for it. And then you got some more details here on the bottom. You got a little section right here. And then you have the Neutrino one that's mounted here, and it will come off. Be very careful when you're taking this off, because it is just mounted on this little hook right here. And that hook feels like it's very thin. So again, be very careful when you're putting that on and off. You got this nice rubbery hose. It feels okay as hoses go, but again, this has always been a concern of mine when dealing with the Ghostbusters. And like the ghost trap, I think this hose, it's not exactly a bendy wire. It's got a little more give to it, but I think over time you're going to have a weak point right here at the bottom of the pack or on the handle of the Neutrona wand over here. So, yeah, just be careful. And it's gonna be okay. You'll be all right with it. So take a look at the Neutrona wand itself. I love this design a lot better than the ones from the movie. This actually looks like almost a rifle kind of thing. And you got your nice brown handle. You got an activation button here, some yellows and some reds and some hoses and wires and more of the handhold here, and then you come down to the tip of the wand, and that is done in a nice blue. And then you got your little hook here, which can hook onto your belt loop. If you don't have your PKE meter there, you can't put them both because that would just be crowded. A lot of cool designs on the side of this wand, and it is really, really neat. And he can hold this, obviously, and it's really easy to get this into his hands because his hands are a nice soft plastic and they're really open easily, so you don't have to fight with them. And I think that's a Mondo trait because Hasbro and NECA and all the others are not as easy. And he looks good holding the Neutrona wand or just having it stored on his pack, and that is really cool. And that brings us to the accessory for the Neutrona wand, and that is going to be this blast effect. And it's like Peter's. It's nice and kind of twisty, and it does have a blue hinge to it, and it will just port into the end of Egon's Neutrona wand here, and he can go to zapping when he finds the Boogie Man. And that's going to be Egon's proton pack and blast effect. And Egon's final accessory is an accessory for the figure himself. It is this clear round stand, and it is very nice. It has 2 peg holes that you can plug into the bottom of his feet, and you could basically move it around or have him posed anywhere you want. Now, he is very stable without it, so you may not want it, but it does add another level of stability to him if you want to kind of get him in a dramatic pose and maybe not have him fall down. You can kind of move him around like that and it will keep him up. So that is really neat if you are interested in the little plastic stands. All right, moving on. And if you got the Egon single figure pack, you would have gotten this little fella packed in with him. And this is a ghost that appeared in each episode of the series. He was in the intro, and every episode he was going to be at the bottom of a stack of ghosts that would get zapped and sucked into a trap. And I did do some research to try to figure out if he had a name, and all that Ghostbusters Wiki could tell me was he was known as the Big with the Mean Teeth Ghost. And I guess that's an apt enough description of him, but mostly he is all blue. He does got a lot of detail in this little sculpt. You got a little bit of hairs popping up from his head here, just line work on his head. He's got some creepy yellow eyes and the big teeth as he is described as, and he has an open mouth and it's painted with black. Coming down, he has 2 chubby arms coming down. You got a little bit of darker blue paint for fingernails, and that is creepy. And then he has some fat rolls here and a little bit of gross warts on him, and coming around he does have a little tail. He's basically a blue Slimer with horrible teeth. And he is slightly articulated. His arms will move around 360 degrees, and that is really nice. He does not have any alternate heads, and his mouth doesn't open, but that is pretty much him. He does come with this very nice blue translucent stand, sort of like we got with Slimer, and he will just pop right onto here. Yeah, and then you can move him around the stand left, right, up and down, and he'll just float around waiting to get busted. So that is pretty neat, and that will be your mini ghost. All right, moving on. And for comparison, here you have Egon with Peter and Slimer, and they look beautiful together. I love this. And in case you're wondering, it is not the same body because Egon does stand approximately an inch taller than Peter, so the sculpt on his legs are slightly longer than Peter's, and that is really cool. That's how it should be, because I think Egon was the tallest of the Ghostbusters, and you gotta have little Slimer in here. It's me, Slimer. And I like this, and this is what they look like in their standard jumpsuits, and this is what they look like with their proton packs and their gear. So that is really neat. I like it. Very proportionate to their bodies. I need to get the trap and put it back on Egon there, but other than that, it looks really, really nice, and these packs are the same. I haven't found any differences in the packs, and they could wear each other's packs if you were so inclined, and I don't think there's an issue there, and that is really cool. And finally here, Egon and Peter are blasting away. Trap him, Ray! Where is Ray? Oh, Ray's not here. Oh no! We have a trap. Alright. And for comparison, here you have the Mondo Egon with the original Egon that we got back in the 80s, and the Diamond Select Egon from the more articulated wave. Comparing the three of them, obviously the little guy here isn't going to be very comparative when it comes to scale and articulation wise. Taking a look at these two big guys, I do like the Mondo better because it's based more on the cartoon. I know the Diamond Select has the paint job, and he does look like a very good Egon, very realistic. I do appreciate that, and the colors on the outfit I think are more appropriate when it comes to the Diamond Select, but it's a preference thing, I guess. If you didn't get the Diamond Select ones and you wanted something more cartoony, I think the Mondo really works well. But there is nothing wrong with the Diamond Select. He is really good. They are a little taller than your standard figures. And again, they are basically the movie Ghostbusters just repainted with different heads. And as far as articulation goes, Diamond Select is definitely going to have more articulation than the Mondo. But I still love the way the Mondo looks, and I will choose it over this guy any day. All right. And that has been a comparison with your Egons. Moving on. And now, since we've took a thorough look at Egon, it's time to move to the dreaded Boogie Man.
What's that? Fear! Delicious fear! Somewhere on earth, someone is so frightened that his terror is reaching me. I love fear. It makes me stronger.
And here, Bots and Books fans, is the diabolical Boogie Man. And oh my goodness, this figure is just so cool. He is huge and ghastly, and you've seen pictures of him in the promo, but you really don't know how crazy good this thing is until you get it right in front of you and you start messing with it. He is just amazing. So taking a look at him, he is 9 inches tall to the top of this huge wave of blue hair he has coming off of his head, and this is a huge sculpt of hair, and it's coming up and forward, and it's got all these little points to it, and that is beautiful. Coming to the back, you can see now it comes down in a wave right to his middle back, and that is crazy. And you got these huge ears poking out to the side, and they got little notches in them. That is neat. A little bit of molded detail here on the inside. His skin is done in a nice light blue, and when you get a little closer to his facial features, it becomes a little darker in there with the blue wash, and you have these huge black evil eyebrows coming up right above his horrible yellow eyes. I swear to you, he has yellow eyes and evil red pupils. That is just so creepy. And that will bring you down to this huge pointy nose. Oh my goodness, that thing is so sharp. But that is nothing compared to the ghastliness of this huge mouth that he has with these horrible red lips, and you can see the pink gums, and then these terrible sharp teeth coming down and up, and you got a little bit of a chip in this one right here. So there's a lot of cool detail in these teeth. And then you have this huge chin, and you got a little bit of tune marks right here at the chin to denote his little hairy whiskers coming out, and that is just creepy. And then coming to his huge neck, that is going down into his body. And it is really cool how they were able to engineer the Boogeyman to distribute this weight of the head to this little body, because it is nowhere near as big as the head is. And it's amazing that you can actually get him to stand on his own, and you just have to bend the knees a little bit, and he will stand because the weight is distributed equally from the top to the bottom, and that is really cool. But anyway, coming back to his actual body, you can see he is wearing a nice blue bow tie here, and that is on top of a black tuxedo coat with a little bit of red trim or burgundy trim for the lapel, and he does have a little bit of burgundy coming out here at his cuff, and I don't know where that is coming from because he's not wearing a shirt. He just has his molded furry body, which is done in that pale blue until you get to like his midsection here and the legs, and it gets a little darker, and that is cool. His hands are molded very nicely. We've got creepy fingers with some very nice black sharp claws. Ooh, that is just creepy. And then if we were to bend his legs fully, we can see that they are done in about 4 different sections, coming down ultimately to these little hooves, and that is really neat. And on the bottom of the hooves, you do get a little bit of copyright detail with Mondo, and then the trademark stuff over here, and that is really cool. Oh, on the back of his coat, he does have these huge tails that extend a long way, and underneath that is done in that same burgundy that you got for his lapel, and that is just awesome. Oh my goodness, this figure is just amazing and creepy, and this is what I've always wanted from a Boogeyman figure that they have never given us. And now, Mondo, thank you very much for making one of my dreams, or should I say nightmares, come true. And that is what the Boogeyman looks like. Moving on. And for our articulation, now coming to Boogeyman's head. The head can go around 360 degrees, but you do have to be careful to get this long head of hair all the way around with it, so it can clear the shoulders and the hands, but it can do it 360 degrees. The head can also wiggle waggle left and right, up and down, all sorts of ways on this neck, and that is cool. Coming down to his mouth can open and reveal these horrible ghastly teeth, and his inside of his mouth, which is now all dark and red, and you got his tongue there, and that is just creepy with this huge jaw. Anyway, coming to his shoulders, the shoulders can come up from the body and then back down. They can go around 360 degrees just to clear these huge honking ears. And that will bring us down to a nice elbow bend, and that is good, 90 degrees, and that is built into a forearm rotation, 360 degrees there. And that will bring us down to the hand, and the hand can go around 360 degrees. It is hinged, so it can hinge in or out, up or down, depending on where you have it hinged. And that is really cool. Coming to the center of the body, you do have an upper body rotation that can go around 360 degrees, but make sure this coat gets clear of the legs. And it is a huge ordeal to be able to get him to turn around, but just so you can see it can be done, there you go. And that will bring us down to the legs. And the legs have all sorts of hinges in them, okay? So the first part of the leg is kind of what I guess would be the thigh, and it can go around up and down, out and in. So that is cool. It can't go around 360 degrees, and I guess you could consider this thigh articulation, one click in and out. But coming down, you do have this secondary piece here, and that can go around 360 degrees, coming down to, I guess, what would be the top of the foot, and it is hinged, so it can move up and down, and it can also go around 360 degrees, and that will bring you down to the actual foot, which is this horrible cloven piece. So scroll in and see that, and it can move up and then down, and you don't got any rock to it, so it's just an up and down piece. So that is really neat, and that is going to be the Boogeyman's articulation. So I don't know, it's kind of good, but he is so big and cumbersome, it's hard to get to and use his articulation that he does have. But he does have articulation, and he can basically move and bend any way you want him to. So I am very impressed with what they were able to squeeze into this huge, bulky figure. All right, and that is Boogeyman's articulation. Moving on. And for accessories, the Boogeyman comes with this huge alternate head. Well, I guess it's just the size of his regular head, but it is really nicely done. You have the same type of hair sculpt with all the hair going forward, and then you have the back part, but now the hair is splayed out and all this different points at the bottom, and that is cool. Same big huge honking ears, same big huge honking nose. He has the black eyebrows. His eyes are now slightly different because now he has smaller pupils and he looks really mad, and he has this huge open mouth, no longer articulate, but you got your teeth hanging out there, and then his tongue, and you got some yucky drool coming off of it, and this is just a cool, angry, yelly head. Ah! So yeah, put this on the body, and he can chase Egon around, and oh my goodness, that looks so amazing, and I just love everything about this Boogeyman. Oh my goodness. All right, and that is his alternate head. And for accessories, the Boogeyman comes with an alternate set of hands where the fingers are down and up in all sorts of directions, and they are very expressive, and they are still done in that light blue with the darker blue on the outside and the evil black claws. Wow, that is so cool. And you could have him, I don't know, waving, beckoning. I don't know exactly what these hands are supposed to be doing, but, you know, they have a different style to them, and that's something new you could have as opposed to what he comes packed with. And, yeah, it's an option. All right, and that is the Boogeyman's alternate hands. And for the Boogeyman's final accessory, he comes with this very nice stand, because face it, he is a little challenging to stand on his own, and eventually he will fall over because he is just so big in certain areas. So you can just put him on here and not have to worry about it. So we'll bring him out, and basically this little stand will open up here, and you can clip this around his waist if you're so inclined. Make the hair go away, or you can put him on his side, move out the legs, and yeah, you can get him right there. Let's zoom up so you can actually see him, and that looks really good. That gives him a little more stature than what you would normally have trying to pose him on his own, and then you could actually see him with his legs extended how they should actually be, and that is creepy if you try to get that to come after you. And even if you put it on the side here, you can't really tell it's there at certain angles, so you can have him standing, and that looks awesome. So you might always want to use the stand, but if not, you can bend the knees and get him in a kind of a squat little position where he would bounce around like he did in the show. But anyway, this is really, really neat and very useful when it comes to a figure as big as the Boogie Man. Alright, and that is going to be the Boogie Man's accessories. Moving on. And for comparison, here you have the Boogie Man with Sam Hain. And oh my goodness, Bots and Books fans, these are two of my favorite characters from the Real Ghostbuster cartoon show. They were both featured in 2 episodes each, and I love the fact that Mondo has finally given us a screen accurate Boogie Man and Sam Hain. They are just fantastic figures, and I love being able to add them to my collection after all of these years. Wow, they look awesome. I am telling you that these are some dream figures right here. Did someone say dream? No. Nobody said dream, Sandman. Now you just go on back over there. It's not your turn yet. We'll see you in a couple months. Okay, then. Oh, my goodness. And that has been your comparisons. Moving on. And the last thing that comes in the Egon Boogeyman collector set are these cool little pop-up ghosts. And we got a few of these with Peter and Sam Hain. And in this particular set, we get 2. And they are really cute. They're blue. And one of them looks hungry. And the other one looks scared. And they just pop out of these little cardboard slots. And they go into these little stands. And Egon can zap away at them if he was so inclined. Hey, you zone dweebies! Get in the trap! Zone dweebies! Ah! And that is really cute. And that will complete this awesome Mondo, Egon, and Boogeyman collector set. Moving on. And this has been the Mondo, the Real Ghostbusters, Egon, and Boogeyman collector set. And oh my goodness, Bots and Books fans, these figures were amazing. I have said it before, I'll say it now. These are figures that I have waited for and I've dreamed of having ever since I was a little boy in the 80s watching the Real Ghostbusters on TV. So going into each of the figures, starting with Egon, he is a very good figure. His sculpt and mold are perfect for the Real Ghostbuster cartoon. I like the seriousness of him. I love his accessories. The PKE meter was so detailed, but you gotta be very careful with it. You can extend the top and then pull the needles out, but if you're not careful, I feel they will kind of snap on you. So be very gentle with that. The ghost bomb was awesome. I love how it extended and then went back down like it did in the cartoon. That was cool. The little ghost of Louie going into the trap, it was okay. Could you have put the Boogeyman in there? Yes, because in the second episode that he appeared in, Boogeyman is back. They did turn him into a ghost and he was trapped. So there is precedence for that. The alternate head was cool. The ghost trap is the same as we saw with Peter. Again, I think it's going to have some issues with the bendy wire. So like the PKE meter, be careful with that. The proton pack was beautiful as it was with Peter's. Nothing new there. And as before, I urge caution when attaching the neutrino wand to the little strip on the side. It does look fragile. So again, be cautious, and that seems to be a recurring theme with these Mondo figures. They look great, but don't be too rough on them because you don't want to break them. Moving on to the ghosts, I do like the little intro ghost. There wasn't much to him, but then again, you know, it was an extra they threw in the box, and it was very much appreciated, especially giving him that little bit of articulation in the arms. That was neat, and not just making him a static piece. And then moving to the jewel of this set, the Boogeyman. Oh my goodness. I have always wanted a Boogeyman toy ever since I was watching this as a kid. I don't think they ever gave us a Boogeyman in any form, and if they did, it was probably a third party. I know over the years I have seen people make their own, and some of them have been really good, but I don't think any of them can compete to this Mondo Boogeyman. He is awesome. Sculpt and mold are dead on. I love the way he looks, and he's just so creepy. His articulation a bit cumbersome to use and manipulate, but he does have it. And again, I am impressed of how they were able to get him to be able to stand on his own. But the stand that he comes with is much better to use to get him in his full stature, and I don't mind using that in this particular case because you could put it in a position where you can barely see it, and he just looks so freaking cool. His alternate head is just massive with a grotesque slime coming off of his tongue, and this guy is enough to give you nightmares, and that's the point, right? He's the Boogeyman. And again, I am just in awe of how great these figures look. So, bravo, Mondo. Thank you so much for making some of my childhood dreams come true, and I look forward to you guys doing it again with the next awesome 2-pack. Alright guys, that is it. That is the video. I hope you enjoyed the review of the Mondo, the Real Ghostbusters, Egon, and Boogeyman 2-pack. If you are looking for this set, I have some very bad news. This was a timed exclusive set, and it is no longer available on the Mondo store. Now, you can get the single pack of Egon, and he comes with all of his accessories, but he doesn't come with the Boogeyman. If you really want the Egon and Boogeyman 2-pack and you didn't pick it up, unfortunately, you're going to have to go to the aftermarket and eBay and Macari and those other places, and oh my gosh, they are already selling for an obscene amount of money, namely about $500 if you're interested. So if you're looking for this collector set, good luck and happy hunting. And that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed the review. But before you go, remember, right now on the Mondo site, they have released the timed edition of the new Halloween edition of Samhain. And this is your second chance to obtain Samhain. He comes in a new colored robe. He has some new head sculpts. He comes with an alternate version of Slimer and his 2 goblin minions. And this is an awesome set, especially if you missed Samhain the first time. It is currently available for $135, and it is available for a very limited time. So head on over to the Mondo site and snag that if you are so inclined. But in any event, have a great night. Happy Halloween. Be careful out there tonight. And until next time, keep playing.